Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Cowboy Coach Podcast, where we share stories, experiences, life lessons, and basically BS to find some sort of take-home message that we can all apply to our personal and professional lives. This podcast is to help you take back the reins of your story so that you can create the life that you want to live. Pull up your boots, tighten up your cinch, climb up on that saddle, and enjoy the ride. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Cowboy Coach Podcast. I'm your host, John Anderson, aka the Cowboy Coach. Welcome to this episode that I am calling Your Team Doesn't Need Motivation. Let me explain. See, I just got done wrapping up one of the busiest event seasons in my career and in my business, working with Thrive Today. Basically, I've been traveling and having events in the last 7 of the past 8 weeks, which has been crazy. It's put a lot of pressure on me, a lot of stress on me, but also my family, my wife to take care of all of the things, my dad to take care of all the cattle. And it's been so fun, and it's been such a blessing. I'm super excited for the work that I get to do, the lives that I get to change and transform. And I give all the glory to God, because if it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Anyways, this whole year has been crazy busy with keynotes and facilitation, events, lots of coaching. Which has been a challenge that I have been facing, just trying to balance everything. We talk a lot about work-life balance, if there is such a thing, in a lot of our events and a lot of our coaching calls, and that's something that I'm challenged with this year. But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. See, this episode, today's episode, I'm calling Your Team Doesn't Need More Motivation. See, in the past year, what I've heard the most, or what a lot of these leaders that I get to work with, whether they're CEOs, COOs, VPs, or location managers, mid-level managers, a lot of their feedback, or a lot of what they're requesting to get out of our events is how to motivate their team. How to get their team to be more motivated, to get them to do more of the things that they're asking them to do. And it's a big challenge. I agree. It's a big challenge. Sometimes I would like more motivation in my life. But the thing is we don't need more motivation. We don't need more motivation. We don't need another motivational speech, another motivational YouTube video, a movie, whatever it is. We don't need more motivation. Let me explain it. So think of a time when you were the most motivated. All right, think of a time when you were super motivated. You felt like you could crush the world. You could take on anything, and you were just ready to go through a brick wall to accomplish whatever you wanted to accomplish in this life. Right? Maybe you got motivation from a YouTube video. Maybe you watched some of the greats like Les Brown, or Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, or maybe it's Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins, or just some sort of workout montage or whatever. And after you got done watching it or listening to it, you're like, wow, I'm super motivated. I want to go accomplish all of my dreams, do all of the things, and take on the world and build this life that I want to build. All right. Whatever it is, think of that time. Okay. I often think about when I am the most motivated, I think about the movie Rocky, specifically Rocky 4. I believe it's Rocky 4 with was it Drago? Drago, is that right? It doesn't seem right, but I think it is. I think it's Drago. Something like that, right? The Russian. Forgive me if I'm wrong, or if I getting his name wrong. But anyways, so there's that. If you haven't seen it, go watch it because you will not be disappointed. I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time. But I just love the Rocky movies. I love those fight movies. Anyways, so if you've seen it, you could probably remember there's like a series of scenes, okay, and it's basically the workouts, right? Where Rocky's working out and Drago is working out, right? Or the Russian is working out, and you got Rocky and he's working out, and he's like in the mountains in this like log cabin, and he's running through this waist deep snow, and he's sprinting, and you got these guys in this car trying to follow him, and he's outrunning the car because the car gets stuck in the snow, and Rocky's running, and he gets on top of the hill, and he does the whole Rocky move, where he lifts his hands up in the air, and you got the Rocky theme song is going on, and it just like your adrenaline's rushing. Like as you're watching this, you're like you're in it, right? And it takes you to the scenes of him doing crunches from the hayloft, and he's lifting a wagon full of rocks, and he's doing all of these things, right? And I mean, he just looks absolutely jacked, like ripped, right? Like there's no fat on him, just solid muscle, looks just awesome in shape, right? And then it cuts the scene of Drago, maybe it's Drago. Drago working out, and he's more in the lab. It's like this high tech gym, and he's running around this gym, and he's punching these bags, and he's lifting all these weights with all these machines hooked up to him, all these wires hooked up to him, and they're measuring how much he can or how hard he can punch and all the things, right? And this guy is just jacked as well, right? Like he's just a huge like machine, right? And that's what it kind of becomes, is this man versus machine kind of scenario, right? And as you're watching this, right, at least as I'm watching this, like my heart is racing, my adrenaline is pumping, and I'm ready. Like I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Like I want to hit the gym. I want to go to the gym. I want to just like lift all of the weights, sprint, like hit some bags or whatever. And it's like I'm super, super motivated. And maybe you get the same feeling, or maybe it's a different movie or a different YouTube video that you watch, right? You're like super motivated. You're like, yes, let's go do it. Let's accomplish the world, right? Maybe it's after a speech and you're like, yes, I want to do all the things. I want to sell all the products. I want to go talk to all my customers. I'm super motivated. But what happens when the scene ends? What happens when the YouTube video is over? All right, the speech ends. What happens to that motivation? The motivation wears and it ends. Right? The motivation, it wears and it ends. And then everything that we said we were gonna do, all of a sudden we're like, I don't know. I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow morning. I'll put it off. Maybe next week. Next Monday. Monday's a good time to start, right? Yeah, I'll do it then, right? The thing is that's what happens to all of us. And the secret about motivation is that we don't need another motivational movie, another motivational video, a speech, or whatever it is to accomplish our dreams. And we rely too much on motivation. We rely too much on trying to motivate our team. We rely too much on trying to motivate ourselves to get us out of bed, to get us to do all of the things that we want to do that maybe we've been putting off, right? And we're trying to rely on the motivation. And maybe we'll put on a motivational video and it works temporarily. But eventually the effect of that video, the effect of that speech or that song, it wears out. It wears out. And then we're looking for something else to motivate us. Right? And then that thing is going to wear out. And then we're looking for another thing, and then another thing, and another thing. Right? And then pretty soon there's not a whole lot of things that actually motivate us. that put us into that feeling where we feel at like peak motivation, that peak state where we want to crush everything. See, the thing is motivation is just a temporary feeling that we get when we are crystal clear on what we're trying to create. Motivation is just a temporary feeling that we get when we are crystal clear on what we are creating. Okay. So think of that time when you were super motivated. Maybe it was a Rocky movie. Maybe it was a speech, or maybe it was a YouTube video or something, whatever it was. Think of the time. How clear were you? How clear were you on what you wanted to create in your life? The goal that you wanted to accomplish? How clear were you? On a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably 11 or a 12. Right? We don't need another motivational speech. We need more clarity. We need more clarity in our life. Because when we have that temporary feeling of motivation, that is when we are so crystal clear in what we're trying to create, what we want in our life, right? That all we see is that one thing. But then what happens inevitably, like when we're watching the movie or the YouTube video or the speech, like it all ends. It cuts to another scene, right? We get on with our everyday life, our normal life. We come home to our family and our kids, and we get caught up with all the other things that we have to do, that we get to do, of the chores, of taking care of the kids, of cooking supper, of whatever it is, right? And all of that stuff distracts us. It distracts us from the clarity, right, of what we want to create. And then so what happens is those distractions, they blur our vision. So we can no longer see the thing that we wanted to create, right? Like it looks blurry. It's not as crystal clear as it used to be in that moment when we're super highly motivated. So what we do is we're constantly seeking the motivation to create that clarity. But the motivation is never going to be the answer. Clarity is always the answer to get what we want. Clarity is a leading indicator for creating the life that we want to create, for accomplishing all of our goals. See, the thing is, if we don't have clarity, what happens is it's like we're on this hamster wheel of life, where we can be doing all the things, like we can be working hard, we can be running, right? But we're not getting anywhere. We're just going around and around and around. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of you out there that are putting all the work in, that you're working super hard. You're putting all the effort in, but it feels like you're on the hamster wheel of life, where you're just going around and around and around and you're not getting anywhere. And it may be, chances are, that it's because we lack clarity. We don't really know where we're going. And the thing is when we lack clarity, there's confusion. Confusion pops up. Does your team seem like there's a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion? That there's no sense of direction? See, clarity is knowing exactly what you want, why you want it, and how to get it. See, we would not go on vacation, or chances are we wouldn't go on vacation if we didn't know exactly where we're going. Right? Most of us, if you're like me, like if we're going on vacation, if we're going to go take a road trip, like I put the location in my GPS on my phone, and then I follow that. See, a lot of us in our life, we don't actually know the direction we're going. We don't know what we want to create. We don't know where we're trying to go, but we're going. We're doing all the things. We're putting all the effort in, but we're fruitless. But the effort is fruitless because we don't know. We don't know where we're going. Like, what's the GPS? And that's what clarity is. Clarity is like the GPS of our life. Like, what are we trying to create? Where are we trying to actually go? And without that clarity, we'll just go around and around, right? Or we just head in one direction And we wonder why we never get in where we want to go, is just because half the time we're just winging it. Half the time we're just reacting to everything in life rather than being proactive. And that's another conversation. But we have to have clarity. We have to know exactly where we're going. And the thing is, if your team doesn't have clarity, it's going to feel, it's going to seem, it's going to look like they don't know what they're doing. It's going to look like they're twiddling their thumbs, or they're running around with their heads cut off, like chickens with their heads cut off. There may be a lot of activity, but it's not getting anywhere. It's not producing any of the results that we want. We need to give clarity. We need to give clarity to our team. We need to know exactly what we are trying to create, what we are exactly trying to do, where we are going. Because if we don't know that, if we don't know where we're going, how do we know if we're even going to get there? How do we know if we're making progress? How do we know if we're reaching our goals if we don't even know what goals? Right? And the thing is so clarity is not only knowing what we want, but it's why we want it. Why do we want the thing? Why are we trying to go in this direction? Why is this the goal? Right? And why is the why super important? The why is super important because if our why is not strong enough, our excuses will be. Let me say that again. If our why is not strong enough, our excuses will be. We need to have such a powerful reason. We need to have such a powerful why that we can overcome any type of excuse. Think of a time in your life when you wanted something so bad. It was so crystal clear. You're so motivated to get it. What did you overcome to get that thing? What did you struggle with? What kind of BS did you have to struggle with, to have to overcome to get that thing, to accomplish the thing that you wanted to create? And you overcame it all, right? Like every challenge, every setback that came your way, you overcame it. You kept pushing forward, right? Because you were so crystal clear on what you wanted. And you knew why you wanted it. And that why was so powerful. That why was so powerful that anything that come your way, you didn't bat an eye. It's just one more thing to overcome. That's why we need to know what exactly we're doing, what we're trying to create, why we're trying to create it. And the next part of clarity is how to create it. How do we get it? Okay. And sometimes we don't know the answer. Sometimes we're making it up. And that's okay. It's okay not to know the answer. Sometimes we have to ask for help. Sometimes we have to seek out somebody that's done it before us, that has accomplished the thing that we want to accomplish, that has been where we want to go. Sometimes we got to ask them, hey, how do we get there? What are the right roads? What are the right steps to get there? Sometimes we got to suck up our ego, suck up our pride, and ask for help. Sometimes we just need to take the first step. Sometimes if we're torn, like, hey, we don't know how to get there. Should we go this way or should we go this way? Should we go left or should we go right? We know exactly what we want and why we want it. We just don't know how to get it, right? So we go left or right. And the thing is we'll spend so much time, we'll waste so much time debating left or right, this step or that step, that we never actually do take a step. We become paralyzed. We become paralyzed in indecision of which direction. And sometimes what happens is if we become paralyzed in which step we want to take, of like overthinking of which step we want to take, we never actually take that step. So the quickest way to really find out which step we should take is just to take a step. Because the quicker we take a step, the quicker we'll find out if it's right or wrong. And if it's wrong, that's okay. Now we know, we learned something. We know that was the wrong step, so let's go this way. Let's make a U-turn. Oops. That was a mistake. Now we learned. Let's go the other direction. But if we take a step in the right direction, then we know, hey, we've gained some momentum. And then we keep taking steps, and we keep taking steps, and we keep taking steps. And yes, we're going to take some wrong steps sometimes, probably more often than not. But we have to keep taking steps. Even if we don't know exactly which steps to take, we just take some steps and we figure it out along the way. See, the thing is, if you're a leader out there and you're asking yourself, why is my team not more motivated? Or I need to motivate my team. Start with clarity. Start with clarity. Does your team know exactly what you're trying to create, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish? Do they know why? Is that why strong enough? And do they know how to create it? Because if they don't know the what, the why, or the how, chances are they don't have clarity. And I'm going to let you in on another secret. If your team doesn't have clarity, it's probably because you don't have clarity. Everything starts with the leader. If you don't have clarity, I can guarantee you your team does not have clarity. So you have to get clear first. You first have to get clear on what you are trying to create, why you're trying to create it, and how to get it, how to create it. Starts with clarity. Clarity is king. Clarity is also kind. The more clear we can be, the more kind we are to ourselves and to our team. We don't need another motivational speech. We don't need another motivational movie. We just need more clarity. Because when we're super clear on what we're trying to create, that's when we have this feeling of motivation. That's when we can overcome things. When we focus on that clarity and don't get distracted, we create whatever we want in this life. So it starts with clarity. Like I said, clarity is king. I'm going to end this episode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully you took something away from it. But I'm going to end this episode with what I'm going to call Cowboy Logic. Okay? Cowboy Logic. Cowboy Logic is just a little quote that I find interesting. Kind of relates to, well, not necessarily, but it kind of relates to being a cowboy, I guess, or a cowgirl, or in the agriculture. Just something to kind of think about, I guess. Okay? So here it is. Cowboy Logic for today's episode. Nothing gets you up in the morning like a warm cup of coffee. Or an early morning phone call saying your cows are out. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take care. God bless.